Commissioners meeting into session. This meeting of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners is being conducted electronically pursuant to Governor Bill Lee's Executive Order number 16. I would ask for a motion that conducting the meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare in light of the coronavirus. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Gammon and a second, Commissioner Cook. Any questions? Without objection, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Stevens? Yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Yes.
Right there.
Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Gooch? I believe that was a yes. Yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. 21 yes. Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I'd like to call on, with the absence of Mr. Gooch, who is Zooming tonight, I'd like to call on Commissioner Craig Harris to come forward to lead us in our prayer and our pledge to the flag. If you would, please, members and guests, please stand. Commissioners are already standing. Commissioner Harris will lead us in our prayer and then pledge to the American flag and then to the Tennessee flag. Commissioner Harris, you're recognized.
Bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your love, your forgiveness. Thank you for your lesson in humility, and thank you for your grace. Father, I pray that you give us strength, wisdom, and courage to stay upon our path, and that every prayer we say, we thank you for your sacrifice, and we thank you for your rise. Be with our mothers and fathers and our sisters and brothers. Be with our co-workers. Be with those, Father, who need you so desperately. Let us always know that the steadfast love of God is always with us. Your mercies never end. You are new every morning and great in thy faithfulness. Please, Father, help those who are struggling right now through the epidemic, through the pandemic, and who are struggling spiritually, physically, and financially. Be with the families that we have sympathy for, the Bramble family. Be with them, Father, and let them know that you're with them and you have a plan. And let us all have faith to keep that plan. Give us, Father, all the wisdom that we can, and let these men and these commissioners make wise decisions based on your love and your grace. I thank you for this day. With all my heart, I love you and all the grace. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Three white stars on the flag. God keep them strong and ever true.
It is with pride and love we salute the flag of Tennessee. Everybody, please have a seat. We'd like to welcome all of our guests and others attending tonight. Members, welcome. Madam Clerk, if you would, at this time, please call the roll.
Commissioner Gammon?
Here.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy? Is
Here.
Here. Commissioner Rather?
Here.
Here. Commissioner P?
Here.
Is here. Commissioner Cook?
Here.
Is here. Commissioner Buchanan?
Here.
Is here. Commissioner Cush?
Present.
Is here. Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Is here. Commissioner Gurley?
Here.
Is here. Commissioner Blair?
Here.
Here. Commissioner Allen?
Here.
Is here. Commissioner Stevens?
Here.
Here. Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Here. Commissioner Gammon?
Here.
Here. Commissioner Harris?
Here.
Here. Commissioner Dodd? Is here. Commissioner Phillips?
Present.
Here. Commissioner McAdoo? Here. Commissioner Key?
Here.
Here. Commissioner Gooch?
Here.
Is here. And Commissioner Sereno
Yeah.
is here. We have 21 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We detect a quorum, and we are now prepared to take up the business of this commission. Before we get into the reading and approval of the minutes, I want to give you an update. So this was a video. I'm going to ask IT upstairs to cue this up. It was on Channel 5 this past week. I want to show you this video, and then I'm going to give you an update on where we are currently with our vaccine and how we're providing the vaccine here in Rutherford County. Lee?
For active COVID cases today at more than 8,500. 490 Nashvillians have died from the virus, which is having a big impact on the Davidson County Medical Examiner's Office. It has more bodies than space right now. Well, News Channel 5's Kelsey Gibbs spoke with the Chief Medical Examiner, who's asking the city and state for help.
Our caseload increased significantly than 2019.
Dr. Fung Lee, Chief Medical Examiner for Metro Nashville, Davidson County, says he is feeling the pressures of COVID-19.
Sometimes we are really feel overwhelmed because, like today, we have more than 15 cases.
He says the pandemic is partially to blame.
But few cases died in jail, in prison, and died at home. We have to take care of these patients.
The medical examiner is not responsible for coronavirus deaths when someone dies in the hospital, but Lee says some indirect, record-breaking deaths from the pandemic is increasing the workload by drug overdoses.
More people died as a result of suicide and homicide.
And not just that. Lee says if a nursing home needs a place to store bodies, the medical examiner is the one to call, also increasing the workload.
And sometimes other hospital, other regional facility, they don't have a place to hold the bodies, and they request, can we store the bodies in your facility? So we do that too.
Lee says at this point, there are too many bodies.
Right now, our capacity has exceeded. More bodies come in than we can handle in our regular coolers.
Lee says bodies are being stored elsewhere to make room.
We have 2 huge coolers, but still we cannot hold. And therefore we, have started using the trailers provided by FEMA. And we've already transferred some bodies into one of these FEMA trailers.
The chief medical examiner telling us that they need financial help as well as more staff.
Obviously, we need more staff, more doctors, more investigators, more technicians and other staff members to support.
Lee says they also need more money for more space.
So we're in the process of getting our coolers expanded. And now, we are talking with the state, local to do that.
He believes that can last them a few more years. Kelsey Gibbs, News Channel 5.
Not sure who all saw that this past week, but it kind of brought things home. And you see that they were using reefer trailers. And I know this commission and myself received a lot of negative comments back in the spring when we were able to have forward-thinking commission. Our Public Safety Committee signed off on it. We were able to get our 3 reefer trailers paid for through our grant. We are still ready and able to use those. I thank God every night when I pray that we haven't had to use those, but it's now in Nashville. Nobody ever thought that it would come to Nashville, but we twice have exceeded our capacity at Stonecrest and at St. Thomas Rutherford, but we haven't had to activate those. We will deal with those at a later point in time once we get through this pandemic and decide what we're going to do with them. But we were forward thinking, we were prepared. Like the Boy Scout motto, always be prepared, and I just wanted to show that other communities are having to do the same thing because there's not enough capacity for refrigeration, and we have to honor those bodies. As Commissioner Harris's passion with suicides and drug overdoses, that too has increased, and those are the kind of bodies that we can't take to the hospitals, and because once they start backing up in Nashville, with the coroner in Nashville, where we take those to perform the autopsies to find out what occurred, we have no place to stack them. So St. Thomas only has, I believe, 5 drawers. Stonecrest has 3 drawers. Funeral homes usually have 1 or 2. But when the numbers start increasing, we have to have some place to give some dignity for those who passed until we can determine the cause of death. So to give you an update very quickly on where we are with the vaccine, we started out with our first level of vaccines at Siegel High School in the gym. The principal worked with us, and we were able to start giving vaccines to our first responders, our doctors, and our medical staff. And so that turned out very well. We were up to over 800 plus vaccines we were giving. So we went to work trying to find a better location, knowing that the gym was only temporary, and we were able to secure the drive-through collision building at State Farm, and that's where it is currently. It seems to be working out very well for members who are talking to folks in your districts. Tell them it's just sit in your car, you drive through, make sure that they wear a short sleeve shirt so you won't have to get out and undress for all the different layers, but make it easier as you go through, and it'll save a lot of time as this process. We are working diligently in the messaging. It seems to change sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. For our health department, LaShann and her department, LaShann Dixon, she is the temporary director since the passing of our previous director with Dana. She is a rock star. She's doing a great job between her and Chris and all the other members that have stepped up to take care of our patients. It's just very confusing when you try to navigate on the Sign Up Genius on the website. We're working on that, and we're going to try to refine this because we haven't really got into the bulk of the population at this point. The national TV, I was at home last night, and they came out and they said they're going to start taking 65. We're taking 75 plus, and they said nationwide they're going to start taking 65 plus. My wife calls me this morning and said now they're going to start taking smokers. So it's all over the board and hard to figure out who's going to be first in line. 2 things people want to know: when can I get mine, and is anybody getting in front of me? They don't want anybody jumping line. 40% wanted them. 60% of our employees didn't want them, but now we're beginning to see that switch because they have been able to see that those got them 3-4 weeks ago. They're not growing a third eye, or they're not foaming at the mouth or anything like that, and it seems to be working, and they don't have any side effects. So we'll see those numbers continue. And now we're getting ready this next week to start the second dose of our first responders. I think there's been some hesitation on getting us the vaccines from the state. We got our first shipment of Pfizer just yesterday. We're supposed to get them 2 weeks ago. So all we've had up to this point is Moderna. We're down to only 400 a day based on the vaccines we were able to be shipped to us. We had to go to another county and borrow 200 on Monday. But we're putting pressure on. I called Senator Crow, who's over the Senate Health Committee. I talked to our own Senator Shane Reeves, and I tried to I did put a call in to our representative, who is now the chairman of the House Health Committee, and a doctor, where we need help with our legislative delegation to make sure that we get those vaccines, because going to 400 a day divided into 350,000 people in this county, we won't get there till Christmas. We have to speed this up, and people at the state have to understand the urgency of this. So we're working on it. When constituents call you, be patient, tell them to go in and continue. Some people are saying they're on hold for hours and hours. They don't know how to navigate, especially our senior population. They may not even have a smart device to do this. So I know my wife had to sign up her mother, who lives in Franklin, because she was totally confused. It's very complicated. So we're working on trying to get something easier, simpler. Take your date and birth, and then we'll call you and tell you when your time is to come get your shot. So hopefully within the next week or so, we can get this kind of settled down and get into a rhythm. They're already in. Our employees are just doing a phenomenal job. They're in a rhythm, and every agency, Laverne, Smyrna, even Eagleville, they have all stepped up. The city of Murfreesboro, they send over policemen to help with traffic. They send their firemen over to move things for us. So it's been Chris has been able to pull in all those first responding agencies, and it's just a concerted effort countywide. So we'll continue to keep you informed, and we'll shoot you some emails. Stay in touch. We're changing our website daily. Ashley's trying to communicate between herself, her office, and all the other PIOs with the other cities, so we're all sending the same message out to all of our citizens. But it's a Herculean task, and it's I don't think it's going to get any better between probably now and August. But we got to get people inoculated with these vaccines. So without any further ado, we'll get back into our agenda. At this point in time, I'd like to call on Speaker Pro Tem Jeff Phillips, if he would, reading and approval of the minutes. Commissioner, you're recognized.
Mayor Ketron, I've reviewed the minutes. I find them to be in order and move that we dispense with the reading and that they be adopted as presented.
Have a motion for adoption. Is there a second? Commissioner Cook on the second. Any questions? Without objection, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner David Gammon,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner P,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Cush,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Blair,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Stevens,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Harris, vote yes. Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo, vote yes. Commissioner Key,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
vote yes. Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
vote yes. 21 yes, motion passes.
Commissioner Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor Ketchum. While I have the floor, I'd just like to remind everyone that your ethics statement is due by the end of this month. You should have received a letter in the mail, so don't forget to update that ethics statement, and it's due by the end of this month, okay?
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, we have the resolution of recognition for Richard Stego. I'll call on Chairman Cush for the presentation, and then I'll call on Commissioner Johnson. I think he's asked to be recognized as well to say a few words, and then we'll open it up for anybody else who wants to say anything about Mr. Stego. Commissioner Cush, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, Mr. Stego. How are you, sir? All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Richard Dick Stego. Mr. Stego has served Rutherford County with dedication and distinction for 26 years. And whereas Dick was elected to the Rutherford County Highway Commission in 1994 to represent Zone 4, which are Districts 8, 9, and 10, until he retired in September of 2020. And whereas Richard has been a member of the Rockvale Ruritan Club for 9 years, the Pioneer Power Association of Eagleville for 9 years, and was a Rutherford County Constable for 8 years. You still carrying? Okay. And whereas Richard Dick Stego was born June 16, 1937, on Windrow Road in Rockvale, Tennessee, he was the second of 4 children to Thomas and Alma Stego, and now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners at its regular session on January 14th in the year 2021, does hereby extend sincere appreciation to Richard Stego for his dedicated service to the citizens of Rutherford County, and we wish him much success and happiness to all his future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution of appreciation be forwarded to Mr. Stego by the clerk of this legislative body. Mr. Chair, I so move.
I have a motion, acceptance, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any other comments?
Is there anything you'd like to say to the full commission?
Mr. Stego.
Well,
you have the podium.
this is the second time I've got one of these up here. The other one was 15 years ago for winning a few races down there at the fairground. But I feel honored, and I thank all of you for
Commissioner Johnson, you're recognized. Commissioner Johnson, you're recognized.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to take this opportunity to express my personal appreciation for Dick. Dick and I have been serving together for 20 years, and the way my math comes up, that's over 240 meetings. And he has always conducted himself in the highest manner, and he has broken in quite a few road board members, and he's a great asset to this county. And I just personally want to thank him for his leadership and support of the Highway Department and this whole county. Thank you very much, Dick.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is item G. We have a resolution of sympathy for Baylor Bramall. Commissioner Virgil Gammon will make the presentation.
Do we need to vote, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the resolution. Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Votes yes. 21 yes, motion passes.
Resolution passes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time I'll call on Commissioner Virgil Gammon, make a presentation. And then I'll recognize Commissioner Blair to make a few words as well. Commissioner Gammon. Yeah, you recognize
David and
Commissioner
Chrissy
Harris.
here. Come on up. Please. It's kind of tough, and if I get emotional, so be it. Baylor Bramble, I didn't ever talk to Baylor, but I know where I was the night it happened. I was a football coach at Blackman High School, and this had happened on a Friday night in a football field. Baylor had suffered an injury, and he had to go to the hospital, and then that road began. I know I hugged my kid that night. I have a football player son who's going to be playing college football, and this game that y'all have seen me, that I have loved, talked about, it takes away too. And Baylor, I don't know why this happened to Baylor. I'm not even going to try. It's not my job to question what God's plans are. But I know he touched a lot of lives. I know this young man brought people to his knees and to our Savior. And I know that because so many have told me. You know, David and Christy have had to go through a lot, and I can't imagine. I'm not going to try to imagine the journey. But I know that as Rutherford County, as commissioner, as your colleague, as a father, we're so sorry. And we're so thankful that we had the opportunity to meet this young man. And David is a pastor. And David, there's a far better world than this one. Far better world. And Baylor's up there right now. We are so sorry. And we will always have you in our prayers. And though this journey, I think it's just beginning, because it's time to heal. And we'll never forget him. I will never forget him. My family will never forget him. My sons will never forget him. And his commission will never forget him, or this county. Commercial.
Commissioner Gammon.
It's a resolution of sympathy. Whereas it was with great sadness that the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners learned of the death of the courageous Baylor Grayson Bramble, and whereas Baylor was a faithful member of Northside Baptist Church and leaves behind a legacy of genuine faith in God and a fight that never quit. Whereas Baylor was a lifelong resident of Murfreesboro and a 2017 graduate of Stego High School, and whereas Baylor is survived by his parents, David and Christy Gregory Bramble, sister Marcy Lynn Bramble, brother Brady Ashton Bramble, grandparents Jim and Glenda Bramble, and Sonia Gregory, aunts Belinda Rogers and Kathy Brown, and her husband Clint, and cousins Regan Canada, Lucas Rogers, Adam Gibbs, Ashley Gant, and Anna Brown. He was preceded in death by his grandfather, Barry Gregory, and whereas we know that his passing has caused great sadness to his family and friends, now therefore it be resolved that Rutherford County Board of Commissioners at its regular session on the 14th day of January 2021 does hereby extend sincere sympathy to the family of Baylor, Grayson, Bramble, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution of sympathy be forwarded to the family of Baylor, Bramble by the clerk of this legislative body.
You so move.
I so move.
Is there a second? Has a second. Commissioner Cook, Commissioner Phillips, and others. All members included. Any questions, any comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner David Gammon.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Rather.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner P.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Harris.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Dodd.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Phillips. Vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo. Vote yes. Commissioner Key.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gooch.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Vote yes. 21 yes. Motion passes.
It's unanimous. Congratulations. Any comments? Mr. Bramble?
They never get a preacher a mic, but just to say a short word, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It's been a difficult journey for us, but we never walked it alone. We had this entire county not only walking beside us, but at times we believe even carrying us, and we truly thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Thank you. Thank you all. Our blessings go with you. Members, at this time, it is now time for our public comments. Once your name is called, we ask that you give your name and address. It's time for our public hearing. I've been told we need to skip public comments. We will move into our public hearing. Mr. DeMasi, if you would please come forward. You recognize Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, Mayor Ketchum, thank you very much, and good evening, members of the commission. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. We have one rezoning request for you tonight, and that is for property located along Halls Hill Pike. It's at the intersection of Halls Hill Pike and Smith Hall Road. Just for a little bit of history regarding this property, a preliminary plan for this subdivision of the same name, Halls Hill Estates, was approved by the Planning Commission for the same property back in September of 2019. The plan called for 114 building lots, but did not contain any open space besides the CUD step area. Due to the numerous sinkholes on the property, the applicant is now requesting a PUD to have smaller lots and to preserve the areas that contain the sinkholes. The applicant's pattern book, which is included on your iPads for your reference, calls for 113 residential lots with a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet, although typical lot size would be larger, a little larger than that, 7,800 square feet. Minimum size of houses would be about 1,400 square feet. All homes would have a minimum of 2 bedrooms and a minimum 2-car front entry garage. House elevations would be vinyl with masonry accents. There'd also be street lights, open space areas, centralized area for mail delivery. There's more detail in the pattern books. I won't go through all that, but like I said, that is on your iPads tonight. Residential PUDs are not required to provide any buffering or open space. Buffering adjacent to residentially zoned properties, but are required to have a minimum of 10% open space, with half of that being usable, defined by our ordinance. This development is proposing to have about 22.5 acres of open space, with about 18 acres being usable, so this does meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. Performance standards also would not apply just because of the fact that this is a residential development. There's not any commercial development proposed as part of this application. There was discussion regarding the sinkholes on the property and how they might be fenced off for safety purposes, should this be approved. Of course, if this is approved, this would also have to go through our platting process. Those are things we would consider during that part of the process. There was also discussion of the size of the roads and parking on street. Roads are going to be built to county standards, so if cars did park on the side of the road, there would be adequate room to bypass vehicles. Following the public hearing, there was discussion on sidewalks in the development. There was none proposed originally, but the Planning Commission did recommend approval with the sidewalks. Those have been added. After the Planning Commission meeting, actually during our committee meeting that we had last week with the Public Works and Planning Committee, there was some further discussion regarding turn lanes into the site. Further discussion with the applicant, they are going to add turn lanes onto Halls Hill Pike into this development. Now, that's not part of the plan development pattern book that you have on your tables right now, but that can be something that you can make a motion to add into this, and then we'll make sure that that gets added into the pattern book. So with that, I will say the Planning Commission did recommend unanimous approval of this, so I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions? All right, I call the Rutherford County Commission meeting into recess to hold our public hearing on this request. The public hearing is now in session. Anyone desiring to speak for or against this issue, please come forward, state your name, your address, and if you are against the proposed request, for or against the request. Seeing no one coming forward, I declare the public hearing closed and Rutherford County Board of Commissioners back into session. Is there a motion? Commissioner P., you recognized?
Mr. Chairman, I do want to make a motion to approve this as amended, adding the turning lanes, and I personally want to thank the developer for listening and adding this on there. It'll mean a great deal in the future. As I mentioned to them, most of Rutherford County, the easy property's been bought up and built on, and so they're finally getting to the rocky end of the county on the uphill side where there's no drainage basins. And I've had 3 in the last 6 months come to my attention, so we're beginning to grow in that area too. But anyway, having said that, I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion for approval as amended, and a second, Commissioner Piercy, Commissioner Serrano. Others? Any questions? Any objection? Seeing none, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Harris? Vote yes. Commissioner Dodd? Vote yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo? Vote yes. Commissioner Key? Vote yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Vote yes. I also need to note Ms. Carol Cook voted yes. So,
Motion
Mr.
passed.
Chairman?
21 yes.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Phillips.
But before Mr. DeMasi leaves, there was a rezoning, a planned unit development out off of Sulphur Springs Road that came before the Planning Commission at least 3 different times and was pulled from the agenda. I think that was scheduled to be on the agenda for tonight. Could you give us and the community an explanation of why it's not here?
Sure, be happy to. Following the Planning Commission meeting, we had conversations with the applicant's design team, and they decided at that time that it was in their interest to just withdraw the application entirely. So that application is no longer pending before either the Planning Commission or this body. Now, that doesn't mean in the future that they may come back with something different, but if they do, it would have to follow the same process with public hearing and notification and all that. Yes, sir.
Is there a time frame?
Not that I've been made aware of, no, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Demasi. Okay, we will go back, members, to item H under public comments. Now it's time for our public comments. Once your name's called, we ask that you give your name, your address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. We have listed Mr. Douglas Brown wants to speak on the topic of the ad hoc committee. Mr. Brown, please come forward, and you're recognized in the well.
Well, that ain't gonna stay. My name is Douglas Brown. I live at 4010 Maggie Court in Smyrna, Tennessee. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening, and I want to address the ad hoc committee that's going to be meeting in the morning. The topic of this meeting is to discuss the county policy on its employees carrying firearms in their place of work. Now, early last year, the Rutherford County Commission passed a resolution that declared this county to be a Second Amendment sanctuary. I believe the exact text was, "We pledged to establish a safe haven to protect good, law-abiding citizens from unconstitutional laws that infringe one's liberty and freedoms without due process." I believe this was an excellent step in the right direction. I appreciate you all for voting on that, but it's time to follow through on that promise. Now, almost all national surveys that have ever been conducted on gun violence in the United States conclude that the usage of a firearm in self-defense is at least as common as crime committed with a firearm. However, most surveys have estimates stating that a firearm is used in self-defense scenarios anywhere from 500,000 to 3 million times annually, depending on which study you look at, which far outweighs the roughly 30,000 gun deaths that the United States experiences year after year. Restrictions on where one can carry a firearm are largely based on fear and misunderstanding. Fear of an object that the media demonizes and makes scarier than it actually is, and misunderstanding of the risks associated with concealed carrying a firearm. As of the end of 2019, there were about 653,000 Tennesseans with concealed carry permits. These citizens, many of whom I am sure are in this room, carry their firearms every day to all manner of public places without any issue. They carry not because they are afraid, but because they are prepared. They carry not to provoke, but to protect. And they should not be prohibited from carrying in their place of work just because they happen to work for Rutherford County. I encourage the members of the commission who will be a part of the ad hoc committee tomorrow morning to recommend that this prohibition be removed and that the good, law-abiding citizens of this county are allowed to exercise their right to protect themselves and others at their place of work. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Appreciate your comments tonight. Next, we have item I. I'd like to call on item I, elections and confirmations. Commissioner Reed, if you would please come forward, and you will be recognized in the well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item for elections and confirmations come from to elect our notaries. Listing of the notaries may be found on your iPad, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, I move to confirm the election of these individuals as Rutherford County notaries.
I have a motion on the election of the notaries, and a second, Commissioner Phillips and Commissioner Buchanan. Without objection, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Harris? Yes. Votes yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner McAdoo? Votes yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Vote yes. 21 yes, motion passes.
Item 2, steering wishes to announce one vacancy on the Agriculture Advisory Board. This is for one farmer, a 2-year term to expire December 2022. Item 3, steering wishes to announce 2 vacancies to the Conservation Board. This is a 5-year term to expire February 2026. Mr. Chairman, this concludes our business.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Next, members, we move to item J on your agenda, resolution to approve the consent agenda. Chairman Pro Tem Phillips, if you would, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor Catron. I've reviewed those items that are on the consent agenda. I agree that they're all appropriate to be on the agenda, and without objection, I move that the consent agenda be adopted as presented.
I have a motion to accept the consent agenda. Commissioner P. on the second. Commissioner Johnson on the second. Any objection? Hearing or seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Dodd? Vote yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Vote yes. 21 yes, motion passes.
Motion passes. That takes us to item K. We have no unfinished business tonight on this agenda. So that takes us next to item M, reports from standing committees. The first report is Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee. Commissioner and Chairman P., you're recognized.
Good evening. Hopefully this will be short. Have about 4 items. First item is actually for some rent for our adult probation group who will be moving into the renovated old judicial buildings, and they're not quite done, so we're having to ask for a little bit more money than what we thought we'd have. So this is item M1A. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the general fund be amended as follows. For adult probation, increased expenditures $18,500 and a decrease in unassigned fund balance of $18,500. Resolved this 14th day of January 2021. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Have a second. Commissioner Rather? Any objection? Seeing none. Let's call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Vote yes. 21 yes, motion passes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the next item is item M1B, and this is actually funding to staff to begin operations at the Plainview Elementary School. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the general purpose school fund be amended according to the schedules attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim. Resolved this 14th day of January 2021. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion. Have a second? Commissioner Piercy? Any discussion? Questions? Seeing none. Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Dodd? Vote yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Vote yes. 21 yes, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, next item is item M1C, a resolution whereas Rutherford County desires to enter into an agreement with the Public Building Authority of Rutherford County, Tennessee for design of, development of the construction plan and provide construction services for the one-stop building. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and all other appropriate officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee be and are hereby authorized to execute an agreement with the Public Building Authority of Rutherford County, Tennessee. A copy of the same being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein as if set forth herein at length verbatim. Resolved this 14th day of January 2020. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Have a second. Commissioner Gammon. Now discussion. Let me step in at this point, Mr. Chairman, and because this was not downloaded on your SharePoint I believe you have it. It's not on your iPad. It was on your SharePoint. Last week during the Budget Committee, there were questions came up about this and the square footage as proposed. Our clerk had requested to increase to the PBA. PBA passed it, sent it on to the Budget Committee. She had originally asked for 4,000 square feet and anticipating the growth in the Blackman area, felt like that 6,000 square feet would do her better. In the meantime, the state of Tennessee came back. They had originally wanted more square footage. They scaled back because this is going to be an express station. It won't be the full-fledged facility that they currently have on Middle Tennessee Boulevard, where you go get your license, take the driving test, the highway patrol, etc. This will be more of a less manned, more electronic kiosk type facility for express renewals only. But they have chosen to partner with us. We got the green light on it, but they scaled back their square footage to 4,000 square feet. So the question before presented to budget last week was whether to go ahead and just do 10,000 square feet or to go ahead and build out the original, what we had talked about, 14,000 square feet, which would give additional space for future growth of county offices. So the question, and I believe there was a motion from Commissioner Allen to see if we could report to the full commission tonight. They went ahead and approved it if we could get that done. Mr. Bart Klein is here tonight with us, the architect. He was able to pull numbers together in this projected preliminary estimate of a 10,000 square foot, 14,000 square foot, and to include, I believe, all of our furniture fixtures and low voltage wiring for computers only in the clerk's office and the space, if you, the empty shell space, if you decide to go ahead and build that for the county. The state of Tennessee, it's my understanding, does their own wiring for their computer systems, etc., so that's not an issue for us. So you have a copy before you, and I believe it was emailed to all those just prior to the meeting. A copy of this, it was scanned in and mailed to you, emailed to you for those that are Zooming tonight. So this can be brought up tonight, and it won't delay the us signing the lease with the Department of Safety, so that way the PBA will pass this, give it back to the PBA, and they can start the process of getting this process going. As you know, that the clerk feels like that with all the car dealerships on that side of town, that side of the interstate has grown exponentially, with probably over 40,000 people over there, and most of the car dealers are there. It will take a lot of stress off of her current office and probably even some off of her Smyrna office. So that is the issue before you tonight, and the floor is open for discussion on the motion. We have a motion and a second for adoption, but we need to decide, are we going with 4,000 or 14,000 square feet?
Mr. Mayor, for
yes, sir.
Clarification,
Chairman.
This motion was for the full 14,000 square feet. That's actually the motion that came out of budget.
Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you. Speaking in that motion to a 10,000 square foot building at $3.6 million in lieu of a 14,000 square foot building at 5.3. So, having said that, I can't support a motion to build a $5.3 million building with a new price of approximately 4.8, and we only need 10,000 square feet, and we'll ultimately be able to build the 10,000 square feet and have a $1.7 million savings initially. And if we need to build more later, we can add on. So I don't know how to do that.
Well, you would move to amend. You would move to amend the current motion that's on the table right now.
So help me word this. I wish to submit an amendment to change the agreement with PBA to a 10,000 square foot building, not to exceed $3,612,315.
Second.
Commissioner?
Two, if we need to summarize that.
Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Stevens on the second. Now discussion on the amendment to the motion. Commissioner Cush.
Commissioner Allen, I have a question.
Commissioner Cook, Commissioner Cush, and then Commissioner Howell.
Does this include any way that we can, it doesn't sound like it's going to increase the building enough to fulfill our needs.
Well, it will the clerk of what her needs are right now. Not for future expansion, but we don't know what would go into building an additional 4,000 square feet at this point. And keep in mind that we can't build it and rent it for retail space, it would have to be some government. We could lease it to another government, or we could occupy it ourselves. Commissioner Cush, and then Commissioner Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I understand your motion, Commissioner Dodd, and the need is $10,000. The 4 is just a surplus at this point in time. And the difference in that money is $1.7 million and some change. All right. I would like to support and tell you why. Building prices are at an all-time high. Building, meaning material prices, are at an all-time high. Steel, cement, wood, timber, and every ancillary item, shingles, stone. If you don't need it, now is not the time to build. I'm telling you, prices will get lower as this building boom decreases and demand decreases. So if we can hold off on space we don't need at this minute, we're going to get a better deal down the road.
Commissioner Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the information that you emailed out, the very last sentence in that on this page says that the above costs are based on a design to build delivery approach. And if I remember correctly, the other night you were talking about your conversations with the state and why design build was not going to work based on their approval process. That and because that sentence goes on to say that if we do a different model, then it could roughly add 5 to 8% to the construction cost. Am I remembering that correctly? And if so, do we need to build in that additional 5 to 8%?
Yeah, without objection, I would like to move in to suspend the rules and call Mr. Klein up and let him answer that question. He did a phenomenal job and able to turn these numbers around for us within a week. So would like to get some clarification on that, and want to make sure, Mr. Klein, as you come forward to speak, without objection, we'll move into recess. Mr. Klein, if you would please come forward and answer that question as Commissioner Allen has requested.
So, Commissioner, it is a hard bid. So design bid build is different than design bid. They're two separate things. So this would not be, this would be what was requested of the PBA. So it's not a design build. It's the design bid build, which is our typical hard bid, which the state requires.
I'm sorry, Bray, if you were answering the question, you were turning away from the microphone to look at me, so I couldn't understand everything you said.
Okay, so design bid build is not design build. It is hard bid. So this is what the PBA wants and what the state needs. So there's no reason to revise it.
So when I called Mrs. Dix, Susan Dix, with Stream with the Department of General Services, who handles all the leasing, the PBA and with Chairman Vault, they decided not to interview architects, and they wanted to go with a design build. Thought that it could save money like the city of Murfreesboro did on the airport. However, when I talked to Mrs. Dix and she gave us the green light that they were going to sign it, she said we have to have a floor design from an architect, which is just the opposite of a design build. You get the builder and then you bring in the architect. She said we can't sign the lease with you until we have the floor plan. So that brings it back to an architect, and since Mr. Klein had already done some preliminary drawings on this site at One Stop, otherwise it will delay us for several more months. So I hope that's clear enough that this is a hard bid, and it's what the state requires to sign the lease with us at $18 a square foot for their 4,000 square feet. And so Mr. Klein is there. I do have a question. This amount that was in the motion from Commissioner Dodd, these are preliminary numbers. Does that include all your engineering, geotech, et cetera?
Yes, so the 3.6 for the 10,000 does include the AE. And we put a 5% contingency, but one thing I want to make sure is the FF&E is just for the One Stop.
For the One Stop of the 6,000 square feet for the clerk?
Correct.
Okay. Does everybody follow? Any questions? Commissioner Piercy.
difference in the prices on the 10,000 versus the 14,000, is there a reflection of any difference in that price on the amount of parking space we're going to need for a 10,000-foot building versus a 14,000-foot building?
At this early in the phase, you're 100 feet up in the air, so the smaller the building, the construction cost is going to go up a little bit, so you see roughly a $10 add to this square foot number. Does that answer your question?
No, it does not. Are we going to build the same amount of parking for the 10,000 foot that we are with the 14,000?
No, if we build for the 10,000, we're going to build parking for 10,000 square foot building.
So it will be less that way also?
Correct.
Do you have any idea what it would cost to come back in the future and connect 4 more thousand feet of building to this existing building we're talking about building tonight?
I would say it's going to be roughly around this same square footage cost, but there'll be an additional cost because when you do an addition, you're always paying a premium. And I do understand the statement from Mr. Cush. Construction costs and materials are high, but also keep in mind inflation happens every year. So yes, you may feel that it'll be cheaper later. It will not be cheaper later. It may be, we continue to see a 5% increase in construction costs yearly, and it's been like that for a long time. We may only see a 2% inflation cost next year if construction is down, but we will see an increase in cost. So you're always, if you need the 4,000 square feet and you have the money to do it, build it now, because when you build it later, you will pay more for it.
Commissioner Piercy.
Go ahead, Mr.
Commissioner Cook, you yield.
I remember us building Paul's, and we framed in Paul's, a whole lot of it, and we went back in and later finished it out. Why couldn't this building be done kindly that way?
You could do that. So for that 4,000 square feet, you could leave it like a white box scenario like you see retail, and then whenever you find a need for it, you do it then. But keep in mind that that's probably a smart way to go because you don't know the use that's going to go in it, and whoever that person is going to have their own way of wanting stuff, so that may be a good way to go.
And our county is growing very fast. So I would like to see it framed in, and let's go back and finish it later.
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy, and then Commissioner Dodd.
I just had one other question, and it would be for Lisa. This is for one of your offices, a satellite, correct?
Yes.
Will you need storage in your in this new facility, or is your 6,000 square foot you've requested counting the storage needs you need?
6,000 that I'm requesting is including the storage that I'll need.
Okay, so you won't need any more.
Hope not.
Okay. Mayor Ketron, do you think the State Department's office that's going to move in there will need storage and could possibly rent that for storage?
They don't have an interest at this time. I did throw that out to them, and they don't have an interest in that because Mr. Pettigo, who currently got the bid for their larger facility over on Middle Tennessee Boulevard, he's enhancing that building and putting in more parking, etc. So they're not interested.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't trying to take away from Mr. Dodd's idea of saving $1 million, but I will agree with the architect. If you're going to build it now or forget it, because you're thinking savings, and that's a good way to think, but it won't turn out that way in the end when we have to go back. I don't think so.
Commissioner McAdoo, and then Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've been working on this project for a couple of years. When it was brought forward to us, it was 4,000 square feet. That was 2 years ago. Now we moved, and the population has increased, so I'm thinking that we discussed this, and we need to go with the 14,000 square feet. Now, you're talking about saving materials. I could get up here tonight and say, well, let's halt every building program in Rutherford County. I'd save money in 2 years by materials going down or whatever, so on and so forth. But we've been working on this project for 2 years, and each year population goes up, she's out of space. I mean literally out of space. And she knows what she needs. And another thing I'm looking at, if I'm not, I can ask Lisa, who's going to be paying this note? Where the money's coming from? It's coming out of her department unless it's something that I don't know of. Just like when we built the new judicial building, they cried about it. But where was the money coming from? It was coming from the fees through the new judicial building. And hopefully we're looking at the same thing on this project. We need the fortress to stay where we're at and go with that square footage.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yes, I agree with Commissioner McAdoo. We need to go ahead and build now. I don't think it's going to get any cheaper unless we have a major recession. And in that case, we won't have any money to spend because we'll be scraping the barrel for whatever. Things go up, inflation goes up. When I came to work for the county in 2011, we could have done what we're doing now with the radio system for about $10 to $11 million. We paid 17 in that year's lapse between when we actually acted on it, what we needed to do versus when it was thought about. So I'll be voting no on the amendment.
Commissioner Key?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So let me play the new guy. So I'm hearing that, and I wasn't here 2 years ago, but I'm hearing that we want to add 4,000 feet, and we don't know why, but we want to add it just in case. Help me understand the origin of where the 4,000 square feet came from initially, and if it's not needed, then it's not needed. If we're going to do it for future reference, then do we do that to all buildings? Is that just a common practice I'm not aware of?
Commissioner Key, that actually came from, if you recall a few moments ago, the Department of Safety, they actually wanted more floor space because they were going to put in the highway patrol. They were going to put in a full service facility like is on Middle Tennessee Boulevard. So they went from 6,000 to 4,000 square feet. And then the PBA says, well, we might as well just go ahead and increase it, up to 14,000 square feet. But at this time, we have no plans. None of the committees have any plans to locate any agency for the county into that additional 4,000 square feet. But we haven't actually gone out and looked. I kind of ran it past the Election Commission and talked to Mr. Farley. He said, well, it'd be closer to my house, but this is really the number one or the busiest precinct is here on the square. It would serve a lot of people. There's opportunities out there. We don't know what the growth is going to be. So I think it comes down to, the decision of this commission and this body to decide, do you want to build it or stick with that? Commissioner Dodd.
Mr. Chairman.
And then I've got Commissioner Johnson and then Commissioner Rather.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a point of clarity on my behalf. I agree with our architect that the economy of scales would make the building more effective to build now. My only objection is we came up with 14,000 square feet arbitrarily. Somebody needed space. We agreed to it. We want our clerk in new space. We saw an opportunity to recoup our investment by having the state come in. They had an arbitrary space. We designed for it. We put together a PBA price of 5.3. In the meantime, everybody's needs change. The 4,000 square feet is completely arbitrary. It's not doing a demographic study of what the needs are of any part of our government. It's simply leftover space that nobody needs and nobody wants. We may want 2,000 square feet added to Lisa in the future. We may want 10,000. I'll support that. It's just simply we're building space because it was already in the number initially. So the main thing I want to do tonight is is get this out of the commission, get it into the PBA. I don't care if it's 5.3 and 14 or 10. I simply want us to have some forethought into the 4,000 square feet. It's completely arbitrary at this point. Nobody needs it. Nobody asked for it. Nobody wants it. We rent it to retail folks. We're not in the speculative business. So I just want to, I support Mr. McAdoo getting it out. I thank Steve for clarifying. Just, I wanted to clarify my point. We don't need the 4,000 feet. We need 10,000.
Commissioner Johnson.
Echoing Mr. McAdoo, I've been involved with this for the last 2 years with this, and there's an old thing about being penny wise and pound foolish. Common sense is going to tell you that building in the future is going to cost more money, and Commissioner Gooch, he's very much aware of this. That is a high growth area out there, and that has grown 58 to 60% in the population and the demands. So I will be voting no on this amendment.
Commissioner Rutherford.
Thank goodness I'm not the newest guy, you are. I'm the second newest guy. It's hard. Oh, Veronica, you're the newest. I say guy.
But you're not a guy, that's right.
I agree with Commissioner Cush, Commissioner Dodd. Every comment has made total sense. But one thing that came to my mind was the parking garage, where we had another floor that we were going to build, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we decided not to build that floor, okay? And within a few months, we needed a floor or two more, right? And what's that going to cost us? How much more did that cost? Would it cost the county if we built that? If I remember, it was $1 million plus.
2 years ago, it was $1 million a floor.
Yeah.
Additional.
So, you know, I've been around building a little bit, been around construction. Yes, prices go up and down, and right now it's up. I agree with that. But I think Commissioner Johnson brought this up. That area out there, I think if we decide to build the smaller space now, in a year or two at the most, when we decide, we need more space, how much more would that cost then than it would to pay for it now? And I equate that with the parking garage. Not to disagree with you, Commissioner Cush, or you, I get it. But I just keep thinking about that parking garage.
Mr. Chairman.
Other comments? Who was that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Gurley.
Yes, some of my commissioners are wanting to know what we might do with it. I can give you two agencies right now that could use that space. One is emergency management. The other is our health department. We could build them space right now. They're just not knocking down your door. They're small, but they're vital right now. They need the space. We could fill it.
Other comments? Other comments? We have a motion as amended. The vote will be on the amendment to go to 10,000.
Mr. Chairman, this is Robert Stevens.
Robert Stevens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I voted for the 10,000 square foot plan in the Budget Committee for several reasons. One has already been kind of hit on tonight, which is that the need is unknown. If we build this 4,000 square feet additional space and the next user only needs 2,000 or 3,000, what do we do with the rest of the building? Without knowing exactly what it's going to be used for, it seems kind of difficult to just randomly pick 4,000 square feet and hope that's what the next user needs. I think we'd be better off knowing exactly what we're going to do with that space and add on later. Two is that the state's revenue is going to drop for us. We're not going to be collecting as much rent from them. That was one of the sales pitches for this bigger project, was that the state's revenue they were paying to us to rent the space was going to help us pay for the building over a period of 8 or 10 years. they will still help us pay for it, but the revenue that they contribute to the project is going to be lower now. Also, just generally, the economy is, who knows what's going to happen with that in the next year or 2 years. And I think this year we need to be very careful with our spending and not commit ourselves to anything that we don't have to do, so that we can be sure that we can hold the line on our property taxes if that becomes an issue this year. And finally, we kept hearing at the budget committee that if we do it now, if we go ahead and build this, it's on sale, it's cheaper per square foot if we just go ahead and do this. But just because something's on sale doesn't necessarily mean you need it. I went shopping for shirts the other day, and there were some coats that were on sale that looked nice, and they were 30-40% off, but I didn't need it. I could have saved 30 or 40%, but I would have spent 60 or 70% on something that I didn't have to have. So just because something is on sale now or cheaper now doesn't necessarily mean you should spend the money on it. So for those reasons, I voted for the 10,000 square foot project in the budget committee, and I will be supporting this amendment tonight because I believe it is the fiscally conservative decision to make.
Thank you. Other comments? We'll be voting on the amendment, on the motion as amended. The amendment is to move to 10,000 square feet. Would you read the motion, Madam Clerk?
The amendment is to go with option 2, and that would be the 10,000 square foot building.
Not to exceed,
What was the,
$3,612,315. Is that correct, Commissioner Dodd? That's your amendment?
Per option 2.
For option 2. Okay. Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon,
No.
Commissioner Piercy,
No.
let me back up. Commissioner David Gammon voted no. Commissioner Piercy voted no. Commissioner Rather
No.
votes no. Commissioner P
No.
votes no. Commissioner Cook
No.
votes no. Commissioner Buchanan
No.
votes no. Commissioner Cush
Yes.
votes yes. Commissioner Reed
No.
votes no. Commissioner Gurley
No.
votes no. Commissioner Blair
No.
votes no. Commissioner Allen
Yes.
votes yes. Commissioner Stevens
Yes.
votes yes. Commissioner Johnson
No.
votes no. Commissioner Virgil Gammon
No.
votes no. Commissioner Harris votes no. Commissioner Dodd
Yes.
votes yes. Commissioner Phillips
No.
votes no. Commissioner McAdoo
No.
votes no. Commissioner Key
Yes.
votes yes. Commissioner Gooch
No.
votes no. Commissioner Sereno
No.
votes no. Five yes, 16 no. Motion fails.
Motion fails. Commissioner P, you recognized. Item D. Oh, we're back to this. Excuse me. We're back to the original motion. Madam Clerk, we're back to the original motion at 14,000 square feet. Ms. Nolan, you're recognized.
Current estimate for the 14 is $4,807,062, and what came out of budget was the 5.3 million. So I just
5.3
want
million.
clarification on how much money that y'all are allocating to PBA.
We're good on that, Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein,
$4,807,000.
be option 1. 4,807,062. That's what we'll be voting on.
Do we need
Dodd.
do we need a motion, an amendment to move it down to 4.8, or do we?
Yes.
That's my question.
Yes, it'd be wise to make a motion to accept this agreement.
I'd like to amend this, the motion to reduce the $5.3 million to the amount as submitted in option 1, $4,807,062.
You've heard the amendment to the motion. Have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll be voting on the motion as we'll be voting on the amendment. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Steve Piercy?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Cush?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Harris? Yes. Votes yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Votes yes. 20 yes, 1 no, motion passes.
All right, well, back to the motion, the original motion as amended. Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Buchanan? Votes yes. Commissioner Cush?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Stevens?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Votes yes. 19 yes, 2 no, motion passes.
Motion passes. Item MD. Commissioner P.
Okay, this is actually for presentation only, and we're required to do this to maintain our position on the 3-star program, which allows us to get grants from the state. And Lisa, if you want to.
Yes, real quick. It helps us get, the schools have utilized that program quite a bit with the energy efficient school program, with energy savings that they've accomplished through lighting projects, water projects. So part of this requirement to be in the 3-star program is one that we have to review our debt management policy, and we're not recommending any changes to it. The annual cash flow forecast of our debt service, and that is on this, and it's on your iPad. So it demonstrates that we will be able to pay our debt. And then the last is that we're confirming that we do have documentation of our internal controls as required by the state.
Questions? Commissioner Key. Oh. Other questions? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, no vote? No vote. Thank you, Commissioner P., for your report. Next, members, we have M2, Health and Education Report. Commissioner?
No report.
No report. Item 3, Property Management Committee. Commissioner McAdoo? No report. Public Safety Committee. Commissioner Reed, you recognized?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make this quick, what I want to say right here. Not really a report as such, but a follow up on what you presented early at the very beginning, talking about our COVID and the situation there. You know, I just have to bring this up. You know, when Fulton brought out his steamboat and everybody laughed, I'd have to say that when we began with COVID, nobody knew exactly what COVID-19 was going to do. Nobody had any understanding where we were going with the pandemic. For sure, this generation or generations before us hadn't dealt with a pandemic since probably 1918. And we were dealing with something new waters. But here in Rutherford County, we come up with new ideas. We come up with new formats when you dealt with public safety and what was being done. And you know, we got laughed at, we got questioned what we were doing. And tonight, I think you showed on the screen right there that we were doing some things that were totally new that other people laughed at. When we brought out the 3 refrigerated trucks, we were questioned, we were laughed at, we were told we were wasting money, that this shouldn't be done. You know, they just wasn't purchased just on a whim. CDC was telling us the numbers that we were going to be seeing. We also had individuals within our own departments knew exactly what was going on in Davidson County, because that's where every one of our autopsies were going, to Davidson County. That's where we send them. And we knew they were handling 40 counties. Ladies and gentlemen, they handle 40 counties in Davidson County, and they're having the same problems as everybody else. Those 40 counties are, and when they go to one point, you got to imagine the number that's going in there. So this week, when I saw the news reports myself of their trucks that they had pulled out there and they were using refrigerated trucks, I didn't feel all that bad about the laughs we got. But the fact is, I'd already been seeing that all across this country. If you look at McLaren, Texas, the county of McLaren has already been using vans at hospitals due to this same problem. We've come very close right here in Rutherford County of using those vans. Those vans were paid for through our COVID grants, not through the county citizens' money. They're going to be used in other areas. They're going to become very vital to us. As well as everything else in public safety, when it comes to COVID, we had new ideas that we went forward with as far as the protocol was concerned with COVID. And the state of Tennessee adopted our protocol and sent it all across the state of Tennessee because of what Rutherford County was doing, protecting their frontline people. And the other counties were not. And they said Rutherford County is doing it right. You know, if you'll remember, commissioners, I stood up here and reported on the need for a forensic center, not knowing a thing about COVID coming. Well, all across this country, when this is ended, all across this country, you're going to hear the call for forensic centers. Well, right here in Rutherford County, if you'll remember, we come up here telling you about a grant we were going to apply for, which a grant we did get, where we have put together a toxology center out here. We're trying to get finished and taken care of. But we've already started doing toxology. That's what I call mini situations, where we're doing the situation here now where we can do it ourselves, some of the things there. We're not doing total autopsies. We're doing things that we can do here in the county. And it's already saved us in 1 month $21,000. So I just wanted to stand up here and brag a little bit on our public safety people here in this county, that they went ahead and thought and went forward. And you know that old saying that who laughs the most? You know, I saw the other day on Facebook, somebody said, I found the trucks. Well, I got news for them. Those trucks were never lost. It's not like looking for Easter eggs. Those are vital pieces of equipment to our public safety in this county, and I'm very proud of the fact that we did it. And I'm standing up here tonight telling you I appreciate this county commission allowing our public safety individuals to do it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed, and no report tonight. Next, we have Public Works Planning Committee. No report, Chairman. Next is item number 6M6, Steering Legislative Governmental Committee. Chairman Harris. You're recognized.
Commissioners, we have two resolutions coming out of steering. The first one is a resolution on County's Powers Act. We have put some new wording in this, so it is a page and a half. I want to apologize right now, but I want to read this. Whereas Rutherford County has experienced and will continue to experience exponential growth, and whereas Rutherford County would greatly appreciate the possibility of exploring options other than property tax increases to fund growth. Whereas by private acts of 1996, Chapter 215, Rutherford County adopted an act known as the Rutherford County Development Tax Act. Whereas the said Rutherford County Development Tax was in place before the state legislature enacted the County Powers Relief Act, as codified in TCA 674-2901. Whereas while the County Powers Act provided the exclusive authority for the creation of impact fees on developments after its enactment, specifically authorizing pre-existing development tax such as the Rutherford County Development Tax Act to remain in place and continue because they were in place prior to June 20th, 2006. Whereas the County Powers Relief Act, codified in TCA 674-2901, provides that the General Assembly shall, in legislative session of 2010, review the provisions of this act to ascertain the effect on the needs of the county, not granted local enactment authority under this act. Whereas upon information and belief, the General Assembly has not reviewed the provisions of the act for the aforementioned purposes, nor the purpose of determining its effect on counties like Rutherford County who continue to experience growth. Whereas the Rutherford County Development Tax Act does not itself provide a mechanism to adjust the amount upward, if needed under the said act. Whereas since 2006, Rutherford County has experienced and continues to experience exponential growth beyond that contemplated in the County Powers Relief Act, justifying alternatives to property tax increases to fund growth. Whereas local municipalities are not constrained by the County Powers Relief Act and may impose other taxes or fees associated with development, and in fact, local municipalities within Rutherford County have done so and are exploring the necessity of doing so, thereby further evidencing the need for increased revenue to fund infrastructure and other adequate facility improvements in Rutherford County. Whereas in Tennessee Attorney General Opinion number 757, the Tennessee Attorney General opined that the General Assembly can't expand the exceptions in the Tennessee Code annotated for counties with pre-existing private acts to allow for the amendment of this private act to authorize the imposition of a new tax or an increase in the existing tax rates. Whereas the Rutherford County Commission deems it to be the best interest of Rutherford County and its citizens to request the state legislature by and through the Rutherford County delegation to amend the County Powers Relief Act to allow counties with pre-existing private acts to amend these private acts to authorize the imposition of new tax or an increase in the existing tax rates outlined in a county and pre-existing private act. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners to respectfully request the Rutherford County Legislative Delegation to propose a bill to amend the County Powers Relief Act to allow counties with pre-existing private acts to amend these private acts to authorize the imposition of a new tax or an increase in the existing tax rates outlined in the county's pre-existing private act. Further, that any such amendment to the County Powers Relief Act take effect upon becoming law. Be it resolved that this resolution be forwarded by the appropriate county officials to the Rutherford County Legislative Delegation and others as deemed proper. Resolve, what's the date? 14th day of January 2021. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion, we have a second. Now, discussion. Discussion on the resolution.
Chairman, this is Robert Stevens.
Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you. I have never said that we don't have a revenue problem, and I am 100% behind the idea that the growth needs to help pay for itself. But we have tried this same idea time and time and time and time again, and nothing is happening. I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results. So we keep getting the same results because we're doing the same thing. And I had some other ideas that were floated at the steering committee meeting. If the legislature will go into that study that they were supposed to do, I feel sure that anybody who looks at the $1 per square foot that was set in 2006 would see that inflation has caused that amount to go up. And so that would be something that would seem to be an obvious or easy finding for a committee to make, to increase what could be charged per square foot. We have not asked them to do that, and I think that if we do ask them to do that, they might come back and increase that amount. Another thing that they could do to help us with that would be to divide up when the payments for that could be made. Right now on the County Powers Relief Act, if you adopt that adequate facilities tax, the entire amount is collected at the end of the building when the house is sold. And for it to work for us, we would need to ask them to make it payable half up front and half on the back end, or all up front. If we adopt it like it is now, we're not going to be able to collect the revenue the way we have, and it would affect our budget for several years. There's also the possibility of asking for a tax on commercial developments. I don't think that we've explored that before, but a local real estate agent suggested that as a possibility of a way to increase revenue. That's something I don't remember us ever asking about before. One of the resolutions that was in our consent agenda was for the Local Education Investment Act. This was a bill that was supported last year by our legislators, and it was getting close to the finish line until the COVID struck, and it didn't make it across the finish line. But that has the potential to bring us some money too. Another idea that we haven't really pushed is asking the state to restore the full Register of Deeds Commission that the state raided and took away from her office back in the mid-2000s when they had a budget crisis. Ms. Dahlgren told me that that would bring us about $485,000 of additional revenue if we were to restore that. So we have some other ideas that we really haven't pushed very hard. I just don't want to do the same thing again the same way. Our legislators have kind of indicated they don't want to do this, that they're not going to do it, and I really don't want to waste our time or theirs with that. So I'm going to be casting a very, very polite no on this. I do appreciate the work that's gone into it. I understand that we need to find additional sources of revenue to help with the growth, but this method I just don't think is what's going to be best for us. So again, I will be casting a very, very respectful no vote.
Well, I'm going to comment on that. He said two or three things. I'm just going to comment on one, and this is my personal feeling. One of the options that Commissioner Stevens talked about was the $1 per square foot. I'm against that, and the reason that I'm against it is Commissioner Stevens' numbers are based on what came from Tanya at Codes, which he estimated at 2,600 square feet. We had met with the homeowner, the realtor lobbyist group last Wednesday, or this Wednesday, and they said that the number is 2,100. Now keep in mind that if we do the $1 per square foot, that money is on the back end. It would hurt our cash flow tremendously. It also, with us being predominantly apartments, that we would lose money because most apartments are 800 to 1,000 square feet. Right now, we get $1,500 per unit. If we go to square foot, then we would lose that money because it'd go to 800 or 1,000. Now, you commissioners, we have been battling this since I've been here for the last 3 years. I agree with Commissioner Stevens, but we had to do something. We had a very positive meeting, and I think that as far as chairman of steering goes, I'm requesting that Mike Cush proceed with his infrastructure committee meeting and that we get the right people. We had the right people in there the other day, and they're open. But I think that if we go with this, with the infrastructure committee meeting, that staff that we have, that I think we can get something done. Because I'll be honest with you, they were open. For the first time, they're actually open to this, and I think we got to have that group because they're very strong lobbyists. So that's personal. I just wanted to let you know that I was against that, and well, there's a motion, sir. Do we vote?
There is a motion. Questions on the resolution?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner.
I have a question for our attorney.
Okay. Commissioner Gurley, and then Commissioner Phillips. Go ahead, Commissioner Gurley.
Yes. This is for our attorney. Has anyone looked at what are the legal ramifications of repealing that tax, and then we would have no tax at all, then we could go back and enact a new one?
Yeah, Commissioner Gurley, I'm happy to address that. So currently, as everybody knows, we have in place a private act that was passed before the State County Powers Relief Act, and we currently collect our development tax through that private act. I think it would be for another day to repeal that, but that would be an option for this body. You could repeal your private act. A couple things with that. If you repeal it, under the current state of the law, you could not enact another private act. Okay? Because that's expressly what the County Powers Relief Act does. It precludes counties from implementing local private impact fees, development tax, or adequate facilities taxes. So Rutherford County is at least in the position where they had one before the state did what they did. If you repeal it, under the current state of the law, you're not going to have the option to reenact it. Two, if you do repeal it, you do have the option of opting into the development tax. I don't have all those TCAs in front of me. It may require an affirmative vote by this body to opt in to your ability to collect that tax under the County Powers Relief Act. One point that I raised in steering is that any revenue that you collect from that particular tax has to be used solely for school or educational purposes. Currently, under the private act that you collect your development tax under, I think it just goes into the general.
It's half debt service,
Half debt, and I believe under the private act you can amend where you're putting that money if you ever so chose to do that. The issue with the current language of our private act is it doesn't provide a mechanism to increase your fees. That's just not in the original language. So what Mr. Harris's resolution here, or Mr. Phillips' recommendation too from steering, is to ask the state legislator to not solely get rid of the County Powers Relief Act, but to amend state law to allow those counties that already have an existing private act, like Rutherford County, the ability to amend their own private acts to increase their development taxes.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, sir.
I might make a comment that it would probably be good to go back and amend that resolution by requesting the General Assembly to go back and do what they promised that they would do in 2006, that they would report back after a study was completed in 2010. They failed to do that. I talked to the sponsor of that bill just last week, who brought the bill forward in 2006, and he was unaware that the study was never completed. Most legislators are rolling on to the next bill presented to them, etc. especially to look back 4 years behind, but that was never done. But I think that they need to go in and do the study themselves. The General Assembly needs to go in and clean up what they originally said that they would do back in 2006. Could that resolution be amended?
This body can amend it however it wants. Just a side note there. I don't know to the extent to which that study or review was to just look at the County Powers Relief Act as a whole and how it's affecting all the counties in the state, or if the intention behind it was to determine if more rural communities, smaller communities who didn't necessarily qualify and meet the criteria to impose the tax under the County Powers Relief Act, if they've grown to where they can come in and now do that. So I'm not sure exactly what the purpose of the study is, but you can certainly amend the motion to add a sentence that says that we request that the General Assembly conduct any and all reviews or studies as required by the County Powers Relief Act.
Commissioner Cush. All right, who was next?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you'll recall the last steering committee meeting we had, I voiced my opinion strongly about not letting them go down the road of doing a study, because all that does is let them off the hook and could add 3, 5, 7 years, however long they want to take the study to take to give us answers back. So to me, that is a simple out for them.
It's been 14. It's been 14 years now.
Yeah, well, it could be another 14 for them to undergo a study. So the pressure that we had, or the leverage I think we have, was, hey, you didn't do it like you said you were going to do, so now give us the autonomy to do what we need to do. So you missed the deadline, so now give us the authority to do what we need to do. So I think a study is a way out for them.
Commissioner Phillips.
I've listened. I'm not even sure I should be talking. Commissioner Stevens brought up that we're going down the same road over and over and over and over again. Let me just say I don't care. You know, sometimes my kids, when they were younger, asked for the same thing over and over and over again, and I didn't tell them, you can't ask for that again. And I'm not comparing us to kids necessarily, but just the fact that I think that with the discussion we've had in the last month, that this resolution is different from the other resolutions that we presented. Heretofore, we've asked to be exempted from the County Powers Relief Act. We're not asking to be exempted from that act. What we're asking for is for us to have the opportunity to treat our existing tax differently. To me, that's a big difference. The biggest disappointment I'm going to come out of here tonight is if we're not solely and solitarily all behind this, 100%. The deal with asking them to look at this resolution the way they should have in 2014, I believe it was, let's pass another resolution asking them to do that and not muddy the water with this one tonight. I also think that if we wanted to look at what Commissioner Stevens was saying, we could do that. But if we did it, it would delay it again for at least another year. And I think that this resolution has to be presented and be introduced within the next month or 6 weeks. And there's no way we could put all that other information together that Commissioner Stevens was asking us to do to get it before this legislative session. I strongly recommend that we adopt this resolution as presented, and if we wanted to get the state to do that study, let's develop another resolution asking them to do that, to do their job. Once again, this thing is different than what we've asked for in the past, and I think you can tell that I'm somewhat passionate about this, and I have been for years. And I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to say it loud enough to where everybody can hear. I don't know of one commissioner, not one, that I've ever served with that wants to raise taxes. Not one. Myself included. But the day of reckoning has come and gone. No longer can our property tax rate sustain itself. No longer can we provide the infrastructure that this county needs to sustain the growth that we've had. We cannot do it. And I, for one, am going to be real critical when it comes to raising property taxes simply because we have no alternatives to it. Let me read this one more time. Commissioner Harris did it really well. Whereas since 2006, Rutherford County has experienced and continues to experience exponential growth beyond that contemplated by the County Powers Relief Act, justifying alternative taxes to increase and fund growth. That should say it all. And our legislative delegation needs to support us. Heretofore, every legislator that I think we've come before has said, if you present me a resolution that has at least 2/3 support in this chamber, that I'll present that to the state. We need to emphasize the importance of this to our state legislative delegation. Lobbyists be damned. We need alternatives to property taxes. I'm not saying we're going to use it, but I'm saying that if we do need it in the future, it will be there and we'll have something besides property taxes. I've been around here a long time, maybe too long. Maybe. But this is something that all of us, I think, realize that without it, the property tax payers of Rutherford County are going to suffer, and suffer a lot. Things, well, those of you that watch the Planning Commission know that this past year we approved thousands of new single-family lots. Not exaggerating. And we don't have the infrastructure to supply that with. We need relief, and this is the only thing that I think would give us that relief. And Commissioner Stevens, I have tremendous respect for his point of view. He always brings up things that I believe makes us think out of the box, and we need that. However, I disagree with him in saying that we should look at other things. We need to look at this resolution tonight. We need to pass this resolution tonight as unanimously as we possibly can, and that means all of us. And then, if we want to look at alternatives, we can do that. There's nothing wrong with looking into the alternatives that Commissioner Stevens has presented this coming year. But those things aren't going to help us. What we need is this relief right now. So once again, please forgive me for rambling on, but I do believe and disagree with Commissioner Stevens that this resolution is different than the ones that we passed in the past, and it's different, and I hope that our legislative delegation will look at it differently. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Rather?
Now that I realized I'm no longer the new guy, been around a couple years, and as Commissioner Phillips brought out, Chairman Phillips, this one is different. This one, in my opinion, has a kind of an ultimatum kind of feel to it, to the legislators. We've been doing it time after time. Now this one's different. We've had enough. When I campaigned, the first time I ever campaigned in my life, one of the things I told people was that tax increases is not the answer to every problem. And that's true here. We have a problem, and the tax increase is an answer, but it's not the answer that anybody wants to go to. Nobody. It burns me up that my 80-year-old dad, 76-year-old mom are paying taxes to fund schools and infrastructure and everything else. They've spent the money putting kids through school. They spend money doing all kinds of things. They should enjoy life. So tax increases are not the answer. And I think we have now, since I've been here in the last couple of years, I know it's not that long, this is one step closer to where we need to be. And I'm going to go back to what I said in steering the other night. I couldn't agree more with Commissioner, Chairman, Brother Cush. If this fails, if the legislators do not want to back this up and fight for us on Capitol Hill, then we, as the commission that runs this county, and I said this last time or a couple times ago, I think that's correct. We do run the county, right? We make the decisions. Is that correct? If our state legislators who work for the same citizens we do, if they're not going to back this up, then we make the decision to do what we have to do to make a difference, make sure we got the money, we can fund things and not increase taxes. And if somebody wants to come fight us over it, take us to court, well, saddle up.
Okay. Comments on the motion for the resolution?
Can I make one more comment, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Jeff Phillips is very wise, and I give him props because Jeff's my mentor, and he's absolutely correct in what he's saying. And I just want to throw this to you. On the consent agenda tonight, we passed a resolution, which is the Tennessee Local Education Capital Investment Act. And what this does is for rapid growth school systems, we receive 2% of the TAC actually collected. Now, that's one avenue. That's an avenue. The other avenues, this commission voted to have liquor by the drink, which generates some type of revenue. But we also lost the hall tax on investments, so now we're right back at zero. So, gentlemen, it's time that we prepare ourselves for a battle. And it starts February the 2nd. And we had the legislation here, 6 o'clock. And I think that we need to rally around Jeff Phillips in this commission. We all need to be there. And we need to fill it here. And then I have no problem giving you the entire hour to talk about this matter. I have no problem with that. And if we want to do that, as your chairman, I'll be more than glad to stand up for you on that. I am done, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Piercy.
I'm in full support of this resolution, and I enjoy listening to Jeff speak. Now, I'm known not to tell the truth all the time, but anyway, we're lacking one thing. Well, we're really lacking two things. We don't have a plan B. Last year we sent it down. They snuffed it off, and here we are again this year. But we didn't have a plan B last year. We don't have one this year. This is my opinion. We don't have their attention. They come, they're meeting with us. Well, maybe we'll try, or we might could do this. We don't have their attention. And you crossed over a point when you said you handed out 1,000 lot permits for single-family dwellings. We can get their attention right there. The Home Builder Association pushed this 2006. The commission at that time went along with it. That's the reason we are where we are today. If we can get their attention by curving the amount of lots we're letting out a year, then their lobbyists will work on our legislatures to help us. But we've got to get their attention. It's like my grandfather told me a long time ago. He trained mules to work in the field. He said, you've got to get a young mule's attention. He said, and I carry a little cedar stick in my pocket all the time, and when I want the attention, I pick him right behind the ear. And then the little mule do what he'd want him to do. They're not going to help us until we get their attention. They're just going to keep looking us over and hoping maybe you'll go away. But back again, I'm in full support of this resolution, and I hope it works. Thank you.
Other comments? Seeing none, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Vote yes. 20 yes, 1 no, motion passes.
Before I get to the next one, I want to thank my good friend Wayne Blair. He had surgery today. We wish him a speedy recovery. I cannot imagine. Have you ever seen somebody walk into a hornet's nest? Well, you're getting ready to see it. You're getting ready to see it. Mike Sparks has asked me to come to bring up to this commission a resolution supporting a bill that he is introducing on social workers in Rutherford County schools. I'm going to ask that we suspend the rules.
I have a motion to suspend the rules without objection. Rules suspended.
Good.
Second.
Representative Sparks is going to come up here and talk about his bill. And like I said, and any other questions?
Representative Sparks, you're recognized in the well.
Thank you.
Right there.
Commissioners, I got to talk to steering last month or last week, and I really appreciate their indulgence. I had Chairman Harris on the radio with me today, and I had Pet, Professional Educators Tennessee, on the radio with me this morning. And we were talking about the mental health problems, the drug addiction that we're seeing, truancy, disciplinary problems that we see. I hear it from teachers all the time. One of the biggest problems I hear is lack of discipline and truancy and other areas, and mental health and addiction as well. A year and a half ago, about a year and a month ago, we put a town hall event together at Parkway Baptist Church, at my church. And we had 110 folks show up. We had a great panel Chairman Harris was on the panel. Dr. Brian Terry was on the panel. Tennessee Mental Health Cooperative was on the panel. Another organization was on the panel. Judge Barry Tidwell was on there. School Superintendent Bill Spurlock was in the audience back there. He was there in attendance, and I appreciate Director Spurlock's attention with it, and also the late Dr. Linda Gilbert, as well as the late Commissioner Steve Irvin, and we had a great discussion. And this is kind of what came out of that whole town hall event. That's what I got out of it. But I wanted to read you, if I could, Commissioners, the last email I heard from Dr. Linda Gilbert. You know, before I read this, let me say, I heard our Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, gave a great speech of the day. And I didn't know how the legislature was going to start off. You know, there's a lot of folks just fired up and upset about things, and 2020 has been a tough year, as y'all know. And, you know, I don't look forward to fireworks and fighting in the General Assembly, because we don't get much done when you do that. You really don't. But he talked about spend your time up here wisely, because it's limited. Your time's wisely. You know, got a new commissioner there. Appreciate your conversation of the day. Welcome the commissioner, Commissioner Buchanan. But he said, spend it wisely. Spend it with value. You know, impact people's lives. You know, some people want to go up there, just cause a ruckus, never get nothing done. That's their tenure. Is that what they want in that dash? And I thought about that poem. You've heard of the poem, The Dash? Y'all have heard of that poem? I've been having to go to a lot of funerals last year. Went to a lot of funerals. Don't like to go to funerals. And I often think about those things. But I thought about the late Dr. Linda Gilbert. I thought about the late Commissioner Steve Irvin. This is what kind of motivated. I could have turned a blind eye and said, man, I ain't going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take on some easier projects, you know. But I thought about those two folks, what they'd want me to do. And in my heart, strong conviction, they would want this bill, in my opinion. I know Dr. Linda Gilbert did, because I want to read you what she said. This is the last email I got from her. Good evening. I apologize for being delayed in responding. Please thank Representative Sparks for reaching out to me. Yes, more funding for counselors would certainly help with the social and emotional issues we're seeing. Another area is social workers. Dr. Linda Gilbert mentioned this, not me. She said they are vital, and many school districts are not able to fund them. Also think it would be very helpful for him and other legislators to talk with school superintendents about the issues we are seeing in very young children. This sentence right here is what got me alarmed, and I want you to really pay careful attention to what she said. The behaviors of our 6 to 9-year-olds are like nothing I've ever seen before. Whoa, that's alarming to me. Let me repeat it. The behaviors of our 6 to 9-year-olds are nothing like we've ever seen before. She was an educator for 40 years, 50 years. They are inordinately disruptive and aggressive, and while we are bringing all our resources into play, there is no place for these children to go to be assessed and be treated. I feel very good about the Department of Education, what they're trying to accomplish in this area, with emphasis on the whole child. And the whole child, from what I understand, it includes the spiritual aspect too. Just to say, that's often forgotten, to be honest with you. That's just my thoughts. But she said, I'm hopeful the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse will work alongside them to help address the upper tier of children of whom there seem to be no answers. Thanks again, Linda. So this bill, which basically is just asking the state. I passed this last year. We just didn't fund it. COVID just knocked everything out. Currently, what the National Association of Schools Workers, which also can work as counselors to help with truancy and other behavioral problems that Dr. Linda Gilbert addressed, their recommended ratio is 1 in 250 students. One worker for 250 students. You know what we're at, folks? 1 in 4,000. 1 in 4,000. And somebody mentioned lobbyists earlier. I see a lot of lobbyists in Nashville. You know, you got taxpayer-funded lobbyists, by the way. I think they're going to help me on this bill, ironically. I'm going to get those tax dollars, Commissioner Phillips. We'll put them good value to get them to help me on this bill. But that's basically what this bill does, is asking for 1 in 1,500 1,500 students, one social worker. And I think we've got a few social workers in the back. Am I right? Can y'all stand up? Can y'all stand up? You're kind of unsung heroes. Y'all give them a round of applause, please. I'll get off my soapbox and turn it over to the Mayor, Chairman Harris.
Commissioner Harris.
All right, gentlemen, it's a resolution from this county commission body to support Representative Sparks' bill. The resolution says, whereas school social workers have demonstrated their ability to drive continued success in Tennessee schools by preparing students for post-secondary and career success and by addressing community and behavioral health challenges. Whereas Rutherford County Schools employs 12 school social workers who provide a vital link between students and their families, the schools they attend, and the community in which they live. Whereas school social workers in Rutherford County assist families, teachers, and other educators in understanding and removing barriers that prevent student success. They also assist in the evaluation of preschoolers and school-age children suspected of having a disability, participate in determining a student's eligibility for special education services, and participate in the individualized education program meetings. Whereas, by collaborating with the community agencies and organizations, school social workers assist in the development of and referral to resources to adequately meet the needs of students and their families. Whereas, studies show that the number of school social workers in a school district positively influences the number of students that complete high school. And whereas the National Association of Social Workers recommends a ratio of 1 school social workers to 250 students. Whereas Tennessee Representative Mike Sparks has introduced House Bill 0044 to change the BEP funding formula ratio of school social workers from 1 to 2,000 to 1 to 1,500. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that this body does hereby show support for House Bill 0044 related to the school social workers to change the BE funding formula ratio from 1 to 2,000 to 1 to 1,500. Be it further resolved that the county clerk shall send copies of this resolution to the members of the General Assembly representing Rutherford County. Resolved this 14th day of January 2021. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have several seconds. Commissioner Rather, Commissioner Gammon, Commissioner Key, and others. Discussion. Seeing none, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes. Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Dodd? Vote yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo? Yes. Vote yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Vote yes. 21 yes, motion passes.
Resolution passes. Thank you, Representative Sparks, for coming, and welcome back. Thank you all for attending tonight. Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, let's end this on a good thing. If you see up here, y'all approved our billboards in our last meeting. I just want to let you know they went up. So that's what it looks like, and we have 2 locations. So this is on the digital one right here. So thank you for everything you've done, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman. Next, we have the item N under any other business, the Urban Transportation Planning Grant Application, fiscal year 2021, and interlocal agreement with the City of Murfreesboro. I'm calling on Mr. DeMasi, if you will, come up and explain this. You're recognized.
Thank you again, Mayor Ketchum. I know you all thought you got rid of me earlier in the meeting, but not quite so lucky. So what I'm going to talk to you about just briefly tonight is a grant opportunity through TDOT. This is a program that is actually the first time it's been offered to the MPOs in Tennessee. It's been offered to the RPOs in the past, so this is kind of a pilot year for them. I'm not going to go into all the details. Everything's on your iPads as far as the grant itself and what it's for, but generally what this is for, it's for planning activities, especially for transportation planning activities that will assist municipalities and counties located within our MPO to identify needs and promote solutions that lead to an interconnected community with efficient modes of transportation. This was recently announced at the MPO's Technical Coordinating Committee back in December. After its announcement, officials from Murfreesboro contacted our office, myself and Mike Hughes, asked us if we might be interested in doing a joint study with the city and again, the details are in the resolution there, looking at studying a downtown mobility, which would include a comprehensive public and private parking study in the Central Business District, basically our downtown area. Also, the Central Business District traffic signal timing optimization to address traffic concerns that affect both Rutherford County and the City of Murfreesboro. Of course, both of our governments are pretty much housed right here in the downtown, so the traffic and the parking issues that we have in the downtown are both the city's and ours. After we heard this information from the city, we approached Mayor Ketchum and Deputy Sandlin about this, and they indicated that they would be in support of this. The maximum that can be applied for is $200,000. Now the city would be both applying, but the city's kind of taking the lead as far as putting the application together. It's a 90-10 grant, so 90% is the grant, 10% is the match. The maximum it could ever be, again, is $200,000. With that 10% match would be $20,000, which would be split between Murfreesboro City and the county. So our costs would not exceed $10,000. So this is really just giving us the ability to make this application. Normally something like this would come through committee. I apologize. This agreement just came to us earlier this week. This grant just opened at the beginning of this year. So we didn't have a whole lot of time to get things moving, so that's why it wasn't brought through committee. So that's kind of the nitty-gritty of this particular grant application. This agreement would just give the authority to Mayor Ketchum to sign this particular agreement with the city, just saying that, yes, we're agreeing to jointly try to obtain this grant. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So members, the resolution is on your SharePoint it's fairly thick, so I would entertain a motion to dispense with the reading if you've already had an opportunity to read that, and I'll entertain a motion to also apply for the grant and to include signing of the interlocal agreement with the City of Murfreesboro.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Cush.
I'd like to make a motion to dispense with the reading, make a motion to approve and allow you to enter into a joint agreement with the City of Murfreesboro. Does that meet your...
In the form of the resolution that's been memorialized on SharePoint, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Good. Yep.
Have a motion. Commissioner Dodd on the second. Discussion. Seeing none, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner David Gammon.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Piercy.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Rather.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner P.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush.
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner McAdoo? Vote yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Vote yes. 21 yes, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. DeMasi. Before we get into statements and announcements, I want to share with you something tonight. He doesn't know that I'm going to do this, but this is a letter of commendation, and it's from Bill, or William C. Cope, our superintendent at the Correctional Works Center. This letter of commendation, and I'm going to read this to you, says this letter of commendation is to recognize Officer David Gammon for the valiant and life-saving actions that he took on 1/8/21. That was last week, during a medical emergency that took place while driving on the interstate with an inmate work crew picking up trash. While driving, Officer Gammon was alerted to the fact that one of his inmates was unresponsive. Officer Gammon immediately pulled to the shoulder of the road and assisted with getting the inmate out of the van, contacting 911 services while supervising fellow inmates that were administering CPR. While this event was taking place, another inmate became unresponsive and treatment was also administered to the inmate as well. Both inmates were revived and transported to a local hospital and are alive today because of the quick and decisive actions taken by Officer David Gammon. We thank you for your service to Rutherford County and the Rutherford County Correctional Works Center for the exceptional service and for your efforts in saving the lives of those two individuals. Sincerely, Superintendent William Cope. These two gentlemen were actually working and picking up trash on the side of the road. They got into some fentanyl. And I want to recognize our outstanding EMS department who responded by the quick action of calling 911. They were there quickly, administered Narcan to both of the unresponsive inmates, got them to the emergency room, and they're back in the Correctional Works Center doing quite well. But if it hadn't been for the smart action of David Gammon, we appreciate that. Commissioner Phillips.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt this letter of commendation and enter it to the minutes of this meeting.
I have a motion and a second. There will be Commissioner Johnson. A second. Second by all members without objection. It will be, as this letter is, this will be entered into the official minutes of the County Commission and be put in your permanent personnel file. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner David Gammon?
No.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner David Gammon, no. Commissioner Piercy? Vote yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes, ma'am.
Vote yes. Commissioner P?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Buchanan?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Gurley?
Most certainly, yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Absolutely.
Vote yes. Commissioner Virgil Gammon?
Well, I'm just going to say he's, of course, my little brother, not as handsome as me, but yes.
He votes yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Votes yes. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes. Votes yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Votes yes.
Motion carries. Thank you so much and congratulations and thank you for your service, Commissioner Gammon. Statements and announcements. No ham breakfast, I believe it was canceled in Kittrell, right, due to COVID. Any other statements and announcements? Seeing none, we stand adjourned.